Imax.
Boy Gage. I'm here with Jokes. I'm here with Sin.
Yes, sir.
Are now tuned into Loading Snacks Weekly, where we get together once a week and we talk about things that are happening in pop culture. And today we're going to talk about Star Wars Celebration. So many announcements, gentlemen. We're going to talk about WrestleMania. Now, we're going to talk about WrestleMania 41 and give our impressions of what the weekend was like, how it stacks up against other WrestleManias and so forth. We are going to talk about a shadow drop that happened today for Oblivion. Jokes, you ever played Oblivion?
No, I actually never. I didn't play. I was never really an Elder Scrolls person.
That's
But
cool.
yeah, but
That's
I am
cool.
gonna play.
We'll get to it and more. But first, Jokes has a job to do.
Yes, sir.
Get our beacons link up for everyone so you all can follow us or where we are. Who said that?
Cuddy. Big facts.
I know we didn't get to play over the weekend. I know we did message each other on Easter, but I hope you at least remember to log in to GTA 5 and get your 420 stuff for free. Sin, you got a job to do.
Yeah, so let's shout out our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Houston, Susan Dortch, Tyrone Carson, Meticulous Skin, Alex Lee, Ellis Mbe, and Kermit Ferguson. Thank you very much. We truly, truly appreciate it.
Indeed, we do. Man, Star Wars Celebration. I want to do something before we get into some of the announcements from Star Wars Celebration, because I really just kind of want to talk about the things that I think we are most excited for coming out of Star Wars Celebration. But before we do that, I want to know where you would rank yourself on a scale as a Star Wars fan. From 1 to 10, where do you see yourself in terms of how much into Star Wars, how much of a fan you are? Sin, I'm going to start with you because your eyes got really beady when I said that.
Because I was thinking about myself, trying to like, where would I rank myself?
Well, that's who you're supposed to be thinking about. Yeah. That's who I'm asking you to rank.
I'm thinking maybe 7 or 6, probably. Like, okay. I feel like I'm a big fan, but I know it's mostly movies, shows, video games, like that type of stuff. I get my hands on those. I watch them, play the games to all the way to the end and back. So I'll keep myself somewhere around a 6 or 7, somewhere around there. Yeah.
And when you say that, you are not necessarily docking yourself, but not giving yourself additional points compared to other fans because you don't like.
I don't read the books and go super all deep into the lore and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Jokes, what about yourself?
I'm in the same place. I'm probably going to say a 6. I'm kind of like saying the same way. Like I'll play the games. Like whenever they got a new movie, the new show, I'm all in. But I'm not that person that's like, super heavy into the lore. Like I learn things as we go along. Something happens, at that point, now I got to go do a little research for myself. And be like, okay. But I wouldn't say as, books, novels, and things come out that I'm that one that's going to buy this to read and be all in. But if it's a movie, it's a TV show, I am there for it. So I would say a 6.
Interestingly enough, I'd probably put myself somewhere in the same bucket, like 6 or 7, right? The reason why I asked that, right, is because even though I would really only rank myself like a 6 or 7, right? Cool as that. Heather says, "Good evening, everyone. My Star Wars fan rank is a 5 pre-Mandalorian and a 7 after." That's interesting.
Okay.
That's very interesting. You know what? I think there might be a lot of people who are in that boat, right?
Agreed.
So here's the thing for me. I'm not super duper deep into the lore, though I find it very interesting. When I learn something, I'm like, oh, that's dope. Oh, that's cool. You know,
Same.
whatever. However, like every time there is some sort of a Star Wars announcement, I'm like excited. I'm like, yo, new Star Wars, and I don't know exactly why. Right? Like I don't want to play everything. I don't want to read everything. I will watch almost everything. You know, that they put. I feel like somehow Star Wars has managed to become such a part of life. Like just like I guess if you're into pop culture geek stuff in some way, like you know things about Star Wars even if you don't watch the movies. Like when I meet somebody like I've never seen the films, that doesn't change the fact that they know what a Jedi is. They've heard of the Force.
They probably know of Luke, I am your father.
Or something. Like in a weird way, like Star Wars is so ubiquitous.
What up? What up?
Hey, Zayna. Star Wars is so ubiquitous, and it feels like it's always been there. It is a thing that, as a franchise, has always been a part of my life from as far back as I can remember. That is just like it is interesting to see what's happening next, or where it's going, or where it came from. You know what I mean? And I find that the overarching lore here's what I think. I think that they did such a great job in crafting the world in a galaxy far, far away that like my mind allows for them. Like I'm really like, yo, they could do anything. They could tell stories about different races. It doesn't have to be Jedis. It could be scoundrels, and they could do it on any number of planets because it's across an entire galaxy. Like they really have kind of done the job of building the world out around what initially was just like the Skywalker family, if you will. That everything else around it is still interesting, and I'm like interested in the stories and kind of where they go and what happens to different people. So with Star Wars Celebration happening, which in and of itself is a special thing because it only happens every 2 years. Like it's not a thing they do every year. It's not, you know what I mean? They get 2 years to kind of ramp up, prep things, put it in front of you. Hey Nana.
What's up?
Let's see. Cuddy says, because A New Hope dropped in 77, it's literally been around our whole life. No, you're right.
Oh, yeah.
You're right. But it's not like there aren't other things that have existed since then. And there was a huge gap where there wasn't really any,
true.
At least not like in mainstream pop culture. Like no new movies, no new TV shows, you know. But like there are definitely staples that existed. Return of the Jedi is a staple. You know what I mean? Like it was a thing. And you know, then Disney got a hold of it, and their ability, Star Wars in a lot of ways is like Mickey Mouse. Like it's just, you know who Mickey Mouse is, you know where they belong, you know all of the characters around Mickey Mouse. Like it doesn't really matter who you are, you just know. And they have found a way to continuously make that important. Even when there were books and comics and stuff like that, when I was reading books and comics, I didn't care enough to pick them up because at the time I think X-Men was more interesting to me, if that makes sense, right? So with Star Wars Celebration happening last week and all these announcements coming out, again, we've been following along with these stories and what's going on with stuff like Andor and whatever. So it just was really cool to kind of get some information, but I'm always more interested in like the new stuff that we haven't seen before and where they're going with things that aren't specifically tied to not necessarily characters, but at least directly to the Skywalkers, you know, maybe in a through line or whatever somewhere. So we're not going to spend a ridiculous amount of time on it. There is a lot to talk about today, but I do want to go over what I think are some of the bigger most
Okay.
important announcements, right? So, Ahsoka season 2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like we knew it was happening, but I think having Hayden Christensen come out and announcing that he will return playing Anakin is interesting. Because what does that really mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where are we in the timeline?
Because
What
it was
version?
something like they did before, like where it's like a dream state or whatever, like when he comes back as.
Yeah,
Force Ghost.
yeah.
It seems like
Yeah.
It's nice to see him get,
the
you know,
recognition and
Yeah.
that praise now comparison to way back then. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to see how that's changed over years. I know in the beginning a lot of people had an issue with the prequel movies. Um, Me, I guess because you know what, that's what I grew up with. Obviously, I watched the originals
right.
first, but I am more connected to those prequel movies than I am to the original. By all
Original,
means, not saying that the originals are bad or anything like that. Those are just the ones that I had that experience with to connect to
right,
me
Yeah.
growing up.
Mm-hmm.
right. I mean, it makes sense, and it's like that for a lot of people. Just like the sequel trilogy is a lot of people's first real Star Wars. Like
Hmm.
it is. Like you can't deny it, right? And that like Rey as a character is important to a lot of people.
Hmm.
Um, so you know, again, just kind of smart like through lines. They didn't talk about anything that's going on with that, and like Rey's supposed to have a new movie and stuff like
Right.
that. They didn't touch any of that, which means we probably won't hear anything about it until Star Wars Celebration 2027.
Hmm.
Um, which is interesting, but there's a lot happening between now and then. Obviously, Andor's getting ready to start. Andor starts today, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
So first 3 episodes drop today. Um, the Ninth Jedi, Sin. Did you see this?
Nope.
All right, so you know how they do the anime series where they do like,
Visions.
Visions.
yeah,
Yeah.
they do Vision. So there's a new season of Visions coming, a season 3,
I
or
do
of
know
all you
that. Yeah.
coming. But the Ninth Jedi is a full like anime spin-off joint of its own that they're doing, that they announced, which looks like it could be really cool. So I thought that was very interesting. I love them leaning into that more, especially considering that Star Wars Celebration was in fact in
In
Japan this year.
Japan, definitely.
Um, so it makes sense. And again, the idea of Jedi being knights slash samurai slash pulling from that lore, again,
Mm-hmm.
all that is really cool. And if you do the research, if you look for it, you can find so much stuff of like Vader and samurai armor and
Hmm.
stuff like it's actually really dope. Um, so it makes a lot of sense. I think that was really cool. Star Wars Starfighter, Ryan Gosling starring in a new Star Wars movie.
Hmm.
That was interesting to me because it really kind of came out of left field. I think there have been rumors and
There have
people
been
have been
rumors,
talking about
yeah.
for whatever reason really trying to put Ryan Gosling in Star. I think people want Ryan
Just
Gosling
want
in
them in Star
anything
Wars.
for whatever reason. Like they just want him in stuff. But Ryan Gosling getting an opportunity to be in Star Wars again. This is the kind of stuff that like it's weird when you think about Hollywood and actors and what they do, what they accomplish, getting Oscars and that kind of thing. There's a part of me that honestly believes that there's a real dream of every Hollywood actor. I don't care who they are, somewhere deep down inside that like knows that if they land a role in something like this,
Hmm.
they don't ever really have to act again.
Yeah.
Like they can show up at Comic Cons
Period.
for
For
the
the
rest of
rest
their
of their lives.
lives. You know what I mean? And sign autographs and whatever. And that kind of fandom, it doesn't exist in other things the way that is. Heather says it's interesting they had Manny Jacinto, Acolyte, considering. Yeah, I would agree. I think, for the record, I like them in Acolyte. Listen, I would agree. The direction they're gonna go with Acolyte, for whatever reason, Disney has this thing where again, they draw in the biggest stars.
Mm-hmm.
So inevitably, they end up with stars that are in things that end up having some sort of misfit trouble, some kind of, you know what I mean? It's kind of inevitable, unfortunately. Um, you know, I was shocked to see my man on stage for so long talking about being Boba Fett because, bro, that show was trash.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
that one you can.
We can delete that one from history.
I hated it, but apparently, I guess it did numbers, dog. Like I can't, you know what I mean? I can't speak to it. The last thing I really want to bring up, as far as that's concerned, is the new Darth Maul joint, Maul Shadow Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Darth Maul is probably the most coveted villain in all of Star Wars history.
Yeah.
Just too short of a run in live action. Got a little bit of a reprieve in like Clone Wars in animation. To see Sam Witwer come back, get introduced, surprise everybody at Star Wars Celebration. He is returning to voice Maul in his own show. And like by all accounts, everybody's like, this is the evil that you want Maul to be.
Okay.
It is this.
That's good to hear. Okay.
Listen, I love Sam Witwer's arc. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because him coming from doing the Force Unleashed
Yep.
and being the fake non-canon currently now, like apprentice of Darth Vader, to just having been a staple in Star Wars, at least from a voice acting community and so forth, for so long. It's just really cool to kind of see that.
That's dope.
That's coming to Disney Plus next year.
Okay.
I'm probably the most excited about that. I just want to see what they do. I think there's a lot they can do. I just want to see what and how.
Yeah.
So
I can agree with that.
I think that's it for me. Is there anything that I missed for the two of you?
Nah.
Anything either of you wants to?
Nah, I think you hit the net. Like Maul for me was probably my favorite thing that came out of what they announced. Outside of like that new turn-based game that they didn't really give us much from it. I know there's gonna be we'll get more from that, but I think Maul for me was probably the biggest thing. Starfighter, hearing the title of it really intrigued me just from playing the games from the past. So that was probably where that light bulb went up for me, and I was like, oh, okay. So maybe, aerial assault type of thing. Like I'm like, whatever. I like where we're going with it. I'm intrigued for it. But otherwise, those are probably the two things that pique my interest the most.
For me, just Visions 3 and now the Ninth Jedi. Because now, like we're doing the whole anime thing, I want to go in and look like who's the directors are doing the studios that are doing these and look at it more closely. So I'm really excited for that this time around. So definitely season 3 of Visions. And I was looking at pictures of the Ninth Jedi. Yeah. Yep. Yep. That's all I need to see. Put it on the docket.
Hey, Sin.
I started to grab some images, and I was like, nah, I'm just gonna let it be. I just,
let them say Mappa on here somewhere.
I'm fully expecting it. Give me Wit Studio. Give me Mappa. Dog. Ooh, Madhouse. Ooh. I can't wait to put out the list of who's on it. I'm probably going to run back the first two just because it's been a while since I watched them. Yeah.
I mean, look, I think I'm sure it'll be worth a revisit. You know what I mean? Both of those joints were really dope. Yeah. And I like that they just kind of let them be more or less like one-offs. Like, here's a story that's in the universe.
Give it to these right studios. Go do your thing with it. Just tell us a story. Yeah.
I think that's so dope. All right, listen. I promised last week that I would let you two talk about WrestleMania. Now, let me put some brackets around this, okay? We'll put some brackets around this, okay? Obviously, you guys had a discussion already on the Finisher podcast around WrestleMania. And there is a looming discussion coming about WrestleMania on the Finisher podcast. So obviously we're not going to dig too deep into all the nitty gritty, but we do need to get some like surface, thoughts on how we feel about it overall, how the weekend was, how does it compare to other WrestleManias, and how do we feel like this sets up things for the remainder of I feel like WrestleMania, it's weird because everything is about the road to WrestleMania. But interestingly enough, I personally think WrestleMania is the thing that sets up everything else.
It does, yeah, correct.
WrestleMania is what happens, and then everything else that happens are the dominoes affected by what happened at WrestleMania. So I would love to hear like where you think this sets us up and kind of where it means we're likely to be going from a future standpoint. Hey, listen. In brackets, you understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
I will start with you, Jokes. And, as the lead of our Finisher podcast, our wrestling based podcast, like, give me your overall thoughts on WrestleMania. How do you rank it?
Overall, I thought the show was okay. I definitely think with some of the builds that they've done for some of the matches, I feel like we may have been let down in a few areas, but I feel like the good outweighed the bad.
Okay.
I would probably give the show overall. I would give it an 8 out of 10. I think they got in. They did with a lot of the matches that they needed to do. Definitely coming out. The big thing was out of the whole show. Is John Cena going to win championship number 17 to then, of course, dethrone Ric Flair and become the number 1 champion of all time?
Which you know how I feel about that.
Yes, I do. Which he did. Now, before Mania, they had already announced that they had added this ridiculous amount of shows with John Cena on the card for it. So it was already kind of like, oh yeah, this dude's walking out of here with the championship.
Sure.
So definitely it's setting us up for, obviously this is Cena's final time this year that we'll get to see him. It's setting us up for a few new matches probably we would have never thought we would see with John Cena, but also revisiting some old feuds, with the biggest one coming out of Mania, Randy Orton. So definitely looking forward to see how that build. That's the first thing that we got outside of Mania.
So who takes the belt from Cena?
Looking down the road, I feel like I would
He's
like
obviously
to see...
not saying this is fake. And when I say fake, I don't mean wrestling fake. I mean like this is almost like a favor. So like this is a placeholder for all intents and purposes, right? So in that regard, in a lot of ways, what it means is he kind of showed back up and bumped somebody else who was in the running. It was somebody else's turn / time to get it, right? So look at my man back.
WrestleMania
back, y'all. What's up, everybody? Let's talk WrestleMania. Listen, if I knew that the only way to get Ty back was to talk about
wrestling for a little bit, you'd have sprinkled a little bit in there somewhere.
Cuddy says Mania is the Super Bowl and Raw after is day one, the new season, basically no off-season break. I mean, that's what it would appear. So Cena is technically a seat filler. It's a big deal, but he's a seat filler. So does whomever was technically next in line, who should have really been getting that belt, get the belt from him? Or do we have to build somewhere else? Who takes that belt from him? And when they do, does it end his career?
On there for it. I think it'll be a transition. Like, I think what'll end up happening is, I believe Cena's going to end up becoming that face once again. I feel like they're going to have him go out being good Cena for it. So I think they'll end up. Listen, we were supposed to get Cena versus The Rock once in a lifetime. That's how that joint was billed. And then we end up having it a second time. Honestly, I have a feeling. And The Rock was absent from Mania, by the way. That's a whole nother discussion. Even though he's tied into this story. But I can see The Rock end up being that one again to end up handing it off. And then if they end up tying Cody back in, because at some point Cody and The Rock has to happen because they've set that up, and I feel like The Rock will end up taking it from Cena as like a turn, even though they're now together, and then Cena ends up or loses to The Rock, and then The Rock versus Cody ends up being possibly Mania 42 at this point, if we even get with it that far.
All right, Sam, what are your thoughts?
I give overall WrestleMania a 7 on my list. I
Okay.
think night one, the two best matches on night one was the women's match, Tiffany and Charlotte, and the main event was spectacular. The triple threat match with Roman, Punk, and Seth. And I'm not gonna say Jay and Gunther was a letdown. It was more so like just a shocking ending. Like nobody on the face of earth expected him to tap out. So that was kind of like a big shocking moment, I would say, for us. Enjoyed it, but like, great moment for Jay. Loved it. Night two, the best match was the Intercontinental match and the women's championship triple threat match, which both of those matches kind of cooked, especially the women's. The women's kind of showed up the men for sure night two. Like, it's not even a question.
The women showed out both nights. The women.
Hey, look, if we really want to get deep, women showed out the whole weekend. Like NXT, the whole night. Yeah, women was just, they were doing, all their matches were just fire the whole entire weekend. But that's why they got the best women's division. But yeah, I give it a 7. They had some great moments like John Hendry coming out, Jacob Fatu, salute winning the United States Championship over LA Knight. Had a lot of good moments, but their matches weren't like keeping me entertained. Yeah, like nothing. It was like wait for the moment, cool, like all right, John Cena's got his title. All right, everything we were waiting for to happen doesn't happen. Only Travis Scott comes out. And it's like, dude, like get out of the ring. We don't.
Let me ask you a question. Is it just, look, is it oversaturated? Like, does WrestleMania need 2 nights? Like realistically, when overall you're giving the weekend and 2 nights of wrestling events, especially when literally wrestling happens every day. Like night. It just doesn't really go away. Tardy Ty said that women's triple threat match was fire. They showed up. Honestly, is it out of control? Hold on, let's see. Cuddy says you're not listening to Ceno's promos. He's staying here and he's keeping the belt. This will create a new title. Rock was on the Pat McAfee show. His schedule is busy. Not seeing Rock anytime soon. He's about to film
right.
Yeah, the joint Hawaii. Yeah,
and that's why I said the Rock thing is not going to happen. When Rock comes back, it will be one of the big shows. Like it will be a Summer
Survivor Series or SummerSlam Survivor Series. Yeah,
that's like why I said we won't get that for a while. They'll build him. They'll bring him in for like one-off appearances. Like they interviewed was it Nick? I forget who it was. The invite to have The Rock to do Elimination Chamber was based off of the tickets were not selling that well for Elimination Chamber, and that's what led to them bringing The Rock in to set up that whole entire thing, which ended up not paying off where we thought it was going to be at WrestleMania, and it's just setting up for a future thing. But
I mean,
nice thing. I'll want you to go ahead.
Yeah, is it honestly, worth it?
I think it needs to be 2 nights. Yeah, because they have so many championships now. And that's one thing we were disappointed about. All the championships were not defended or on display there. Like you got 2 brand new women's championship titles, the United States and the Intercontinental. They weren't on defense there. And you just put those up. They just put them out there. They have the first inaugural champions running right now. Like why aren't they on the card? Like,
you know what though? Here's the thing. As an outsider looking in. Right? Eventually, with the pure number of people you have on the roster, right? You need other championships, like you need other belts. But not every run should be WrestleMania. And I think at some point, you do really have to take some of these other premium live events and make them that important or as important. That those events become the events where those belts are the big things for those events, right? Which makes them another draw. Because really, in the end, right?
Do NXT is doing.
You have SmackDown on Friday and Raw on Monday, which technically means you have 4 nights. WrestleMania is really 4 nights.
It's the whole week, honestly.
Yeah. The week before and the week after. Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? So, like, when you really think about it, right? If you kind of all the different storylines you're trying to do, and all, like, again, you kind of need places and placement for it. And if you try to jam it all into one thing,
yeah,
you're gonna end up disappointed like you are. Like, jokes, you gave it an 8, but you said it was okay.
yeah.
And so an 8 doesn't usually mean okay. Like, I would say that 8 is better than okay. A 7 or a 6 to me is like, it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I
would
think,
say,
look, you got some really fire matches, and they're great, and it feels like this is
and
WrestleMania.
that's what I was gonna get at.
Let's do it. And then you have matches that don't quite live up to that.
And that's what I was going to get at. Like, Sim was talking about, the championships. For me, it's not necessarily championships. It's having these 2 nights to allow the wrestlers to go out there and put on decent time enough matches. Like, don't get me wrong. The squash match, if it makes sense for whatever character is, like, I'll give you an example. Randy Orton. So, unfortunately, due to Kevin Owens having to go out and get neck surgery, Randy Orton did not have an opponent for his 20th WrestleMania. By all means, they are not going to let this dude not have a match on his 20th WrestleMania, which led to Joe Hendry coming from TNA to debut on a WrestleMania stage. Now, granted, the match only lasted maybe like 6 minutes, but that 6-minute match meant way more in the long haul for multiple things. And that type of stuff, when you put it in the middle, it doesn't upset me. Because not only, Randy showed up, he got his win, he gave the nod to Joe Hendry. Like, this dude, for someone coming, like, there's other plans brewing after, and I'll talk about the AAA thing for a brief second. To have a champion from another company come over and be a part of WrestleMania is absolutely huge. And the fact he got the reception when his music hit, that reception that he got was amazing.
I'm going to tell you that, like, my Instagram was on with Joe Hendry, and I was like, this is nuts. Like, as far as I'm concerned, it was literally the biggest and most important thing that happened at WrestleMania. You can take everything else as big as they are. That thing, that 6-minute match, it's not even the match. It's the intro. It's the walking in. It's the, like, that is the most important thing they did. And you could build moments like that don't need 2 days. They don't need a whole
matter of fact, to what y'all saying,
8 hours of content to do that.
Like I said, I gave it a 7, and like I said, it was kind of iffy for me in some spots, and it had moments, big moments, but overall, Stand and Deliver was a better pay-per-view. NXT Stand and Deliver on Saturday was a better pay-per-view. From the storylines to all the in the ring. I'm sorry, they're in the ring. They was crushing.
Hey, listen, NXT is more contained. Like, they don't, like, listen. NXT can live on its own. It can live on its own. Now, I don't want to, because I'm going on a tangent, but NXT can live on its own. And just because, I can't say they don't give it the WrestleMania treatment, but because they don't necessarily have to do that super grand, we're going to have the biggest sets, we're going to have all the extra power. Like, you don't have to worry about focusing on that, and you're just solely focusing on the matches for it. So NXT has that. But aside from that, I think the only other biggest thing that came out of Mania actually happened during the pre-show, and they coming out and announcing that WWE acquired if not the biggest lucha libre company in Mexico, AAA. Like, there had been we have been seeing a lot of the lucha stars from like AEW and some others starting to show up in WWE, and we were kind of all just like, what's going on here? Like, clearly something was in the works, and it's got me thinking like a whole bunch of TNA, but that's a whole nother subject. So, but that was honestly, outside of the show, probably the biggest chunk of news that they brought forward, and already announced a collaboration pay-per-view that is going to happen. So,
I mean, look,
Worlds collide.
Y'all know that I'm like, if nothing else, the business of what they're doing is the thing for me that's like, yo, and like UFC being done with their contract now and eyeing like $1 billion contract with Netflix to come over to Netflix. When you consider what Netflix has done for the WWE is probably the most incredible kick in the pants they could have ever had, right? It puts a lot of money on the table for them, but it also gives them the kind of star power that didn't exist. Like if you watched Rhea Ripley was on
Oh,
was
Stephanie's
on Coldest
Places.
Balls,
Oh, the Logan Paul joints. Okay.
on Coldest Balls with Kevin Hart, right? And she was talking about how when they did their debut joint on Netflix, she was like, I'm backstage and like literally there are like movie stars and people from TV shows like these are people that I love to watch, and they're here like to see me, to see what I'm doing, like the kind of star power, what that does when literally Vanessa Hudgens and all her little like that whole kind of that power, what that does, it changes the landscape in a way that is very different, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it is like, oh yeah, we need to do this all weekend. I do think that there's a potential for them to really kind of upplay some of the other events, right? Not that WrestleMania should be less. Like now that you've made it 2 days, I don't know that you can go back.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they will. They're already expanding. The other shows are now becoming the 2 days.
Yeah, right. SummerSlam is 2 days this year for the first time. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So now, like, you would have to really pack WrestleMania with nothing but like it would have. So it's just a matter of what, how they have to do it. And I think there's going to be some much more UFC and WWE crossover once UFC comes over to Netflix. There's no part of me that believes that deal's not happening, because the kind of money that they are seeing as a parent company, owning both of those, like what they're seeing from Netflix is like, we never go back to regular TV for real again. Like there's just no point, right? So, look, I'm glad it was a good weekend. That's one bracket, and another bracket, shut it down. We done with wrestling for this. For all of y'all who are in the comments and enjoying and had a good time, whatever, please make sure you tune in. That you're locked in, you're following the Finisher podcast, Spotify, here on YouTube, and so forth. Every 2 weeks, new hot content for you that you just ain't gonna get here, because we don't have that kind of time. We don't have that kind of time, realistically. So now look, let's talk reviews. A couple of things. We have for a long time kind of swayed away from reviews. We'll kind of put like, here's your little personal score, whatever. We're looking at kind of making some adjustments to that as a company, and getting a bit more into doing reviews. We are going to give you reviews for both Sinners and Assassin's Creed Shadows today. However, before we do that, I want to talk about what we think a review scale should look like. So if you're, if you're watching the show live right now, if you're an audio listener later on, feel free to drop, your comments or your thoughts or whatever. I think for a long time, review scales were just like however somebody chooses to do it. Like I go back, like, so it's 5 mics, like, you know what I mean? Whatever. 5 stars, 5 mics. It's a 9 out of 10. So there's people who do a 10-point scale there. Companies that do a 100-point scale there. Companies that do a 20-point scale there. Companies that do a 5-point scale, or really it's a 10-point scale because you could do 3.5 stars instead of like you have to do 3 stars or 4 stars or whatever, right? Here's my personal opinion on it. I think that like a 20-point scale is probably, I think that's the best way, considering that I want us to have a scale that works no matter what the content is that we're talking about, whether it's video games or it's a TV show or it's an individual episode of a show, or it is just the DLC for a game, or it is a movie, or it is an entire cinematic universe, right? I think a 100-point scale is maybe a little too much. I think 20 points, being able to say this is out of 10, but you could do a 9.5, you could do an 8.5, you could do a 7.5. I think that allows us a little bit of play within. You don't have to give too much, but you don't take so much away. For me personally, like a 5-star or a 5-point scale, a letter scale that only goes to like our grading system or something like that. I don't feel allows us to be specific or particular enough about the details that might change or swing a thing one way or another. Enough to give us enough nuance with that. Jokes, what are your thoughts on review
The
scales
scales
in
on
general?
there. Um, yeah, it's like it's hard with so many different ways. Obviously, depending on like say the criterion things we could talk about on there for it. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like when you do the scale out of 5 stars, even though you say like 4 out of 5, like which sounds really good, but it almost feels like it's compact. And
Well, it is because
yeah,
technically that's an 8 out of 10.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
But do you mean that it's a 9 out of 10 because you can't
right.
give it
You
really
don't
anything
really
in
thing on it,
between or whatever? Yeah.
and I think that makes it more compact, especially as you go through, you'll highlight all the highs, and then when you start talking about things that can be improved, and then like even if you only label like 2 or 3 things that may need to be improved, that thing's
Mhm.
like, okay, then maybe it's not quite a 4 then just yet. Maybe you're at a 3, a 3.5 with what it is that you have to say. So I don't think you give yourself enough space to be able to work with. 20
Mhm.
point scale, I think it's a lot easier to work with. Obviously, if they do it out of 100, like if you school like how they do it, like you can have like your A, B, C type of range that you could do with it. But it gives you a little more flexibility to be able to talk about, hey, like I know we kind of had a small conversation, but like graphics, I don't think you really need to focus on as much as with some of these games, but you start
Mhm.
getting to like when you start talking about story mechanics, the time that it takes you to actually play to completion or something like that on it. I feel like when you start adding in all those extra pieces of the puzzle, it's hard for you to just say 4 out of 5 at that point.
Okay. I would agree with that. I'm gonna ask you what you think about it, Sin. I do want to just kind of like share that this is a discussion that we were going to have off camera, right? Like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
I was like, you know what? Save it for the show.
Save it for
Like,
the
let's
show.
just talk about it because I think it's important, right? Like, I think it's important for people to understand if we're making a decision to really start reviewing things that people have an understanding of why we choose to do it the way we do it,
Hmm.
right? And our criteria could be very different, even to some extent, from person to person. So I don't necessarily think it would be a great idea for us to put in a bubble. The three of us are so different from one another in terms of the things that we like and what we
Hmm.
don't like and what we react to and what gets us excited versus what doesn't. And while there are a lot of similarities in those things, if I was to try to pigeonhole you into like, well, no, you have to add in the point score for the music of
Hmm.
I need a score for the score, or whatever, and
Hmm.
maybe it didn't stand out to you at all, you know what I mean, or whatever, but that doesn't mean that you didn't say love the film, you know what I mean, or something like that. So I don't know about doing it that way. Sam, what are your thoughts?
I agree with jokes. The whole 5 point thing, yeah, it's too compact. You can't really get into it. But I do like the 20 point because, like you may want to say, oh, it's a 6, but there was some things I liked about it, so I want to add a little bit more to it. So 6.5, 6.5, whatever. That's perfect.
Mhm.
Instead of I don't want to give it a whole 7. I don't believe that's there. So I believe it does open up and give it more leeway. So I'm with that one. The 20 point system, 100%.
20-point system.
Yeah, that one.
Having said that,
Hmm.
jokes,
Hmm.
give us your review for Assassin's Creed Shadows. You have completed the game.
Hmm.
You have run credits.
I've
Completed
run
the
credits.
game
And I know almost
and
the
no
screen.
Yeah,
credits.
you completed. Yeah, yeah.
Because again, that's another thing that I feel like
Hmm.
needs that kind of nuance, right? So
Yeah.
you have rolled credits on the game.
Hmm.
Talk to me.
So, Assassin's Creed Shadows. So, if you've played an Assassin's Creed game, I would say within the last few titles that have come out, I feel like you may not have gotten the full on Assassin's Creed experience. And I feel like Assassin's Creed Shadows has gone and has re embodied a lot of the elements that made Assassin's Creed good. Um, and I think in doing so, now this isn't the first time that we've seen multiple protagonists within an Assassin's Creed title. Um, Maybe not necessarily being able to freely switch between them at times. Shadows gives you that ability to pretty much switch in between these characters pretty much at any given time for it. Um, both characters have their own unique fighting styles. Um, Naoe, who is your female protagonist, and Yasuke, who is your other protagonist. So Naoe gives you that more of a traditional Assassin's Creed playthrough. The stealth is there. You're gonna have, of course, your hidden blade. So if you miss some of those elements playing as her, you're gonna get all of that experience right back into it. Yasuke, on the other hand, powerhouse. So if you're the type that doesn't care so much to be stealthy and going, you're taking Yasuke and you're just going in. You're knocking, no pun, well, all pun intended. You're knocking on the front door of somewhere and you are going in and you're just wrecking shop. So I think they did a very good job at isolating and creating two unique play styles that you can do. Um, I found myself playing probably a little bit more as Naue, just because I wanted that more of the true Assassin's Creed feel. But when I tell you, the damn playthrough time that I did with both of them was probably about the same. But Yasuke, there's times I just don't feel like you know what? I don't want to creep around. I just want to run through here and just blow through and just get everybody out of the way. Yasuke does that. Um, Story's amazing. I will tell you, the thing with this is there's tons and tons of side stuff that you can do. Um, I was
We just say that again.
tons and tons and tons of side stuff that you can do. So in doing so, for one, this is not something that you're going to sit and be able to like. I'm the exception to this. You're not going to beat this like in like a week. If you're just a casual gamer getting in, you're going to have a lot to be able to get into and experience in this game. Um, it could get a little overwhelming for some people, I feel like. But if you're someone that likes, there's a lot of history within the game, just like Assassin's Creed always typically do, you will get that feeling from it. Tons of characters you're going to interact with. Um, Trying to think of what the gameplay is cool. I do think they did make some changes. I know there were some glitches and some things in the beginning, but they did a couple patches and kind of got a lot of that out of the way. So they kind of smoothed things over relatively quick. But otherwise, game looks good.
Yeah.
Um, I can't like the music that's playing, and I love there's two avenues that you can actually play for the game. So there's a canon mode and a non-canon mode, which is very interesting because depending on the mode that you pick, um, canon mode essentially does not give you the ability to like pick certain conversations and you're just going through the game and you're just playing it as the way that they intended to actually be. Um, but the only thing that I don't like necessarily about it is depending on how you do it, you may not necessarily run in or be able to recruit certain people until you get well further into the game, which is probably the only thing I don't necessarily like about it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but outside of that, being able to, you can play the game in, of course, your native language. So, like for us, it's English. All the characters are going to have, their English characters. They'll still interchange here and there with foreign languages, but there is a mode that you can pretty much fully immerse yourself where you get, full Japanese dialogue. Depending on what country you're in, you're going to hear the conversations in that native language, which is really cool. Personally, I didn't pick that mode because I kind of wanted to not have to read subtitles the whole way through the game. But you do have that flexibility. And I will say this: if you haven't started, if you do choose to do whichever version of it, you are locked in. You are locked in. You cannot change that. So, whichever one you pick, just be prepared. You're sticking with it for the whole run of the game on there. Both are deadly. I love how the big
Yeah.
hunting.
Cuddy says Shadows is a good story. Both are deadly. I loved how big the hunting bad factions was in Odyssey, and they have that here.
Mhm.
So I would agree. I have in like hours, a little over 3 days in
Mhm.
this game, and I don't even think I don't think I'm like a quarter of the way through the story.
Mm.
I have just been running around doing
Mhm.
side stuff, finding outfits, changing. This is the kind of game that, by deep comparison to like a Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, where I'm like, why am I hunting for new ponchos that don't do anything? Every outfit, every piece of gear that you find, the hard work that you do to find it, it all has something there. There's all of them change something about the way that you fight, the way that you attack, the kind of setups you have. And then you get to a point eventually where you can have multiple setups for your characters, where you can swap between, like, you know, I have a run for Yasuke where he is just a poison powerhouse, bruh. Like, I can actually block unblockable attacks, right? And when I block an attack, a poison cloud comes out, right? And then with one of my weapons, if I attack somebody who's poisoned, because the poison cloud actually poisons you too. But if I attack somebody who's poisoned, it actually gives me 8% health back for everybody, right? Like, so, like, there are these, like, as you start kind of piecing pieces of, like, you know, you have your headpiece, your body, you have your weapons, and then as you find gear, you can take them to a forge, and you can take legendary things that are only on certain pieces of armor or certain weapons, and you can move those and attach those to other things, right? So with Naue, I have her set up where if I'm in the shadows and I'm doing an assassination, I automatically remove 2 health segments, right? Yep. Then I added another one that any assassination, I take an additional health segment, right? But then I also I found a like a body armor for her that if you crouch for like 2 seconds and you just stay still, you're automatically in the shadows, even if you're not hiding. If you like, even if you're out in the open, right? So, like, there are ways to create and change your build so that you can really play the way you want to play, which I think is not only brilliant for the individual characters, but having 2 separate characters that already have very different play styles that allows you to play in an emergent way, especially when you're somebody like me who locked yourself into the canon mode and it's stuck having to read everything because it's all in Japanese. But I'm gonna tell you what, it feels so authentic. Like, it feels so right. Every person, like, walking through a town, all the side conversations are all in Japanese. Everything that, like, just kind of riding up somewhere, they're saying something. I'm trying to pay attention to where I'm going, and it's just, I can't read what they said. You know what I mean? I'm getting better at it. You know what I mean? As I try to navigate. But I would agree. Like, I'm having such a good time with it that I'm not even really progressing the story. And what I have done of the story, I'm loving. But like Cuddy said, just hunting the factions is like, you know, I get one. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna kill all these. I'm gonna kill
all y'all.
Everybody going down.
All y'all.
I'm gonna kill all y'all. You know what I mean? And then I get to one. I'm like, I get like the option to spare them, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and let you. I'm gonna let you go.
Go tell them about me.
Make sure they know.
Yeah. Send me a message.
How many people does it take to deliver a message? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
And sometimes I will tell you now, hey, be careful. Like, as you progress, you know, you are going to get those options. You know, the typical, you know, you can assassinate somebody, just like you said. But be careful when you do that, because some of those people, you might not want to actually assassinate. So you got to make a split decision, because some of those people are actually important.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I may or may not have come across some of that. But here's the thing. It is what it is. And you know what I mean? Like, that's part of what I think the fun and the beauty of what this game is, especially compared to other Assassin's Creed recently. So, jokes on the decided 20-point scale. What do you give Assassin's Creed Shadows?
Easy 18 out of 20. Little small thing. Now, I'm gonna be real with you. The only reason why I'm saying 18, which I feel like that number,
20-point scale is still like out of 10.
Still,
like,
right.
It's the same thing.
You're at 8.
I could easily go to a 19. The thing is, because I'm still playing through and I'm discovering stuff as I'm playing through that's making it more worthwhile, I'm now starting to get to that point where I'm getting more of the Assassin's Creed story out of it. Once you
after you finish the story.
after I finished it.
Interesting.
So it's I don't want to get too into it, but the things that make Assassin's Creed, you will get some of that experience as you're playing through,
Mhm.
but a lot of the bigger nuggets you're not going to start to actually see until after you have completed the story. It seems like it unlocks more once you've gotten to a certain point in there.
Okay.
And now that I'm seeing that in the way that it's baked, I will tell you there is a it's almost like a what, how can I explain it? There's like a battle pass type thing that's
Oh
baked
yeah,
in, that's baked
yeah,
into it as you go through, and you can unlock, gear and certain things, but you
yes,
also unlock certain things that'll unlock other elements of like the
yeah.
Assassin's Creed that's inside of it. So now
Story.
I'm getting more of that. So as that story builds a little bit
That
more,
because wait, is that just because you didn't do those things as you were? I'm gonna say rushing through the story, but as you were pushing, because like a
mm,
lot of that stuff
mm,
I've been doing and unlocking, and I'm not like way through
mm,
the story, but I will go and find those things on the map and do them
right,
as long as they are within
going
my
I did a
level.
lot as I was, yeah, as the level pertains. But as
Yeah.
you'll get to a certain point where like some of those, the levels are, even though you like, let's say you're like level 32 or something like that. I have
Mm-hmm.
found where once you get to a certain point, like there's a couple of them that show they'll be like level 45. That like it's designed, like it's just baked in, but they don't want you to touch it until you actually progress
Get
to a
better.
certain level in the game.
What
But
level
I
were you? Do you remember what level you were when you finished the game?
no, I don't even think I was 40.
I believe
30.
max level was 60.
Yeah, I'm like a level, I think I'm like 48 or 49, but I feel like I finished it around maybe like 38 or 39 probably.
Okay.
Maybe 40.
I'm
I feel
like
like somewhere.
I'm level 32,
Hmm.
and it's places on the map I haven't even
Oh
touched.
yeah, cuz you can't touch until like you're level 40. Like
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like
mm,
I haven't. I've been in like the first three areas,
mhm.
and that's it.
Mm.
Like just cranking. All right, so we're saying 8 out of 10, not an 8.5. Could go up to a 9.
I can easily say a 9. I can easily say a 9 for this.
So are you saying a
Don't
9 or not?
touch you there.
Are
Like
we
you
doing on
completed the game and you're still playing it.
and I'm still playing it. And that's the part that I absolutely love right now is that I can still go through and do more. Now, they haven't announced like any additional like DLC and anything like that as of yet, but we know there will be something that they're going to introduce.
Yeah, there's stuff coming.
Um,
Yeah.
but if we like the scale, a 9 out of 10 easy, 9 out of 10 easy. And as I
Okay.
start finishing off some of these other things, like I personally don't have any. I don't have any major complaints about this game. Like I
Okay.
know people were complaining about like as you'll be able to build like your compound, I guess would be the way to say it. And people were talking about like the when you get inside, the the refresh ratio and stuff was dropping at some point. Like they addressed that. Like that never was even a big deal. I was like, I'm going in here running around like things seem fine to me, whatever. Um, I'm 9 out of 10 easy. Like this has my like full on like I'm gonna complete this. I am going to
Okay.
fully do everything possible. I'm going to max out my level. Right now, nothing. I don't think there's anything
They're
that would
gonna
pull
do a
me away
level.
from
They're
this.
gonna do a
Yeah.
level cap increase.
Oh
Like
yeah,
you know that's
absolutely.
coming. That's what they've done with the last two. They're probably
Mm,
gonna feed this game for the next couple of years. It
Mm-hmm.
is the only truly successful thing I'm gonna say that Ubisoft has
yep.
done in quite some time,
Agreed.
and they kind of need a push of
Yeah.
some sort. So this is probably it. All right, so 9 out of 10.
Hmm.
Sin,
Yo.
fancy your name being what it is.
Right?
Over the weekend, end of last week, we saw the release of Ryan Coogler's new IP. I'm gonna call it that. I think there's
Okay.
more coming. Sinners. Um, now I'm gonna put some disclaimers on this before we get too deep into this. We're not doing spoilers. Let me just make that clear right now. We are going to give our review scores. I've seen it. Sin has seen it. We're going to talk about it, but we're not going to get into spoiler territory. So anything that we have to say, we will cap to the things that you may have seen in trailers, right? And we'll give you like context, but we're not going to get into spoilers. Sin, you went and saw this.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I did.
Here's the first things first.
Mm-hmm.
This is a movie that does have vampires.
Yes.
It would be generally labeled scary. You don't do scary.
Nope.
Why did you go see this in the first place? I think that that's an important thing for people to know before you give a score to something that is the kind of thing you probably would
avoid.
Right. But
right.
I knew, yes, it's going to have jump scares in it. I figured all that from the trailer and stuff like that. It's vampires. Cool. But at the end of the day, it was about a bunch of black people killing vampires. I was like, oh, okay, I can get behind that. You know, just I like stuff with
culture. You just like
like I like zombie stuff. You know what I mean? So yeah, but you know, a bunch of people shooting each other up inside of a barn or whatever. I'm like, all right, I'm on board with this. Let's go check it out. You know what I'm saying? Cast looks good. We'll go, check it out. I didn't think it was going to be like a straight on super like scary horror thing or whatever because there's a Ryan Coogler thing. So no, this will be good enough. I can handle this. No big deal. And it wasn't. There was a couple jump scares in there there was actually 2 jump scares that did get me. I'll be honest. They were both though very early in the movie. Like there's one, Gabe, since you saw it, opening scene when Sammy, Preacher Boy, walks to the church and they flash back to the night before real quick. And it's like it's just so out of nowhere, you're just starting the movie, you know what I mean? So that one, that one out of what got me, and the snake, because didn't see that coming. So
all right.
Yeah,
fair.
so
in the beginning and they need the second one doesn't really have anything to do with vampires or whatever at all. Okay.
Yeah, so outside of those 2, no, it didn't like scare me, make me jump or anything like that. It made me I was getting more locked in. One thing I will say about this, I think is great about the movie, that yes, I'm coming in. Where the vampires at? I want to see all the action, all the blood, all that kind of stuff, and that takes over an hour to even get started with the vampires, all that kind of stuff. So it's not for a while that you even get to that. But I was locked in off the very beginning with everything else happening in the story, and was no longer, yes, I'm trying to follow, like, okay, it's about to happen, but I wasn't looking for, I was really locked into what was going on, with meeting all the characters, seeing what their relationships are. I thought the acting was on 10 in this, 100%. Like, I think the entire cast, they meshed well together. Everybody put their foot into it, like, with the acting. It was funnier than I thought it was going to be, too. Shout out to Delroy Lindo. He was hilarious in this. Did not see that coming. Like, he's consistently hilarious in this movie. And I didn't see that coming, so that was enjoyable. And, there's parts with our kind of comedy in there, so it was just funny, like just certain things they would say and slide it in. We're just in the theater cracking up, dying, laughing. Then eventually it does get super serious. There's a lot of Black history in this, as you would expect.
Let me pause you for a second. Did you go see it in IMAX?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That was the whole reason. Like, all right, Coogler, I've heard enough. I'm going to see this in IMAX. I'm not seeing it nowhere else but in IMAX.
All right,
and it looks.
Hold on. Before you go any further, did you see that like today or yesterday they announced that like starting tomorrow, if you go see it in the 70mm IMAX, they're giving you a piece of the film?
No. Oh, that's cool.
Dope. It's just none of. I don't think we have.
There's only one. There's one in like Chantilly. Like that's the closest one. That's a 70mm to us.
Let me see.
Okay.
Because there's only like 8 theaters or something like that in the U.S. at all that have actual 70mm IMAX. But okay, continue.
With that being said, I would say visually, the movie is beautiful. Visually, those shots that he was doing and taking, just the screens and everything, it was absolutely beautiful. That one scene, especially how he did that with the music, was chef's kiss. I know it's the one everybody's hyping about. I'm not going to go into it. Go see it for yourself, but it's an amazing scene. I was pretty much jamming in the seat the entire time it was rocking. I was jamming in my seat pretty much the whole time in this movie. Whenever they got into their music bag, the music crushed in this constantly. Whether it was the Irish dancing joint they was rocking towards the end, or
they was getting it, bro. they was rocking it, bro.
The one in Chantilly's not the right one.
Okay. Like once Sammy, Preacher Boy, started getting his bag singing, I'm like, oh yeah, taking you to church in there. Like it was Yeah, music is clean all the way through. Like I said, acting was on point. This was a great movie experience because there was so many like of all of us laughing together. Like when certain things that happened, you understand, oh no, don't open the door, don't open the door, like stuff like that was happening. It was one of those type of movies where everybody was so wrapped into it and engaged into what was happening that people couldn't help but to yell out and all that kind of stuff in the theater. So that was a lot of fun to kind of experience once again.
Yeah.
There is a lot of like religious symbolism and Black history symbolism. So there's something in there that you could go to and come back out with all these different perspectives on things and go home and do your study. And I've been down a rabbit hole just looking at that stuff on like TikTok, people breaking down certain things from the movie. Like it's really intriguing, really interesting. I think all in all, though, it is. I haven't seen all of Ryan Coogler's work, but this is a standout piece of work for him. Like straight up across the board. Like I said, acting, audio, whether it was the music or just the sound direction of everything that's happening in the movie, the acting. There's some classic lines in here, I will say, like Haley Steinfeld, good Lord, sweetie, just good Lord, just bow down. But no, this was a great time. I definitely recommend go see it in the theaters in IMAX if you can, 100%.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page. So I went to see it. I took my youngest daughter and a friend of hers.
Oh, how did that turn out? Okay, so I know some scenes here.
Yeah, it was cool. Everybody has that, I guess, first real rated R movie moment or whatever.
Haley was giving up.
Yeah, listen, we went. It was IMAX, and here's the thing: I haven't really thought about it. I don't think I've ever taken, at least her. Heather said, had a lot going on, a lot.
Yes.
That's capital letters, a lot going on, and you so right.
Yeah.
We walked into the theater, and my daughter was like, "That's a big screen." And I was like, "Yeah, that's IMAX. Like we don't normally do IMAX, at least not on the first run. That's the kind of thing that like." After we do it, if we're going back a second time, we might be like, all right, this is a joint we really need to see this way. But they put so much like into like, yo, this is the way you really want to see it. This is the way it was shot. This is the way it's intended to be seen. That I felt like it was important to do it. And I'll be honest, I was surprised at how full my theater was.
It was packed.
On Easter Sunday.
Ooh.
Seeing Sinners.
Yeah.
but look, here's the thing. Michael B. Jordan playing twin brothers, acting beside himself, but especially once they separate, there is an easily notable difference between the two of them. Like how they talk and how they act. It never really becomes hard to know who's who.
Facts.
Even though they give you like straight up double dragon.
Yep, I was thinking that the whole time. Red and blue. Sorry, Bibby and Jimmy. All right.
And the Smokestack twins. One named Smoke and one named Stack. Everybody knows who they are. And real talk, when I saw the runtime of the film was like 2 hours and 17 minutes, I was like, there's no way. The entire movie takes place in one day. The whole movie is one day.
Hell of a day.
That's hard enough just to do, right? But from the very beginning, it kind of grabs you and you're in this place of like, what is going on? What is happening in this town? What are the things? You're like kind of watching, again, all in one day, a transition of Deep South to the American city, right? You have people that are using money that isn't true American dollars, isn't even accepted anymore, versus the American dollar. You are listening to and hearing the dialect. You are hearing people talk about the difference between Chicago and like Mississippi. And I heard they don't got no Jim Crow up there. Like I'm trying to go there. I heard they don't got no Jim Crow. Those kinds of things, right? Like baked into what the history of the time period and the place of the story are. And then lying deep down underneath, again, like Sin said, it takes like an hour.
At least, yeah.
Before you get even the slimmest inclination.
Yeah. Without the trailers, you would know.
100%.
Yeah.
Without the trailers, you would not know this is coming. It would feel very left field.
Yeah.
Because once it
100%
takes that
left
turn,
field. Yeah.
it's a sharp turn, right? And I'll say that without the trailers, that probably would have made me feel some kind of way about this movie. Like I'd have felt like I didn't know what I was going into or something like that because of, again, how long it takes a very long time for it to build.
I think it works though, luring them in with the vampires with the trailers, and then you get in there and see how deep and great this story really is. And you, like I said, you just forget about it. You're not even thinking about the vampires though. You're like, okay, what they talking about? What's their history? What's going on here? You're just so wrapped up in all that other stuff. Yeah,
right. You get so ingrained in Smoke and Stack returning back home after like 7 years away, and you're kind of getting tidbits of like where they've been or what's going on with them, and you're hearing like kind of these rumors about them, but everybody knows who they are. You know what I mean? And we talking about like, again, this is not a spoiler, but like at one point, one of the twins like goes up to a little girl, and it's just like, and she's like young, like, you know, maybe 13 or 14, and he's like, "Yo, you ever heard of the Smokestack Twins?" She's like, "Of course, like everybody know the Smokestack Twins." And he like, "Well, I'm one of them." You know what I mean? Kind of thing. She like, "Oh," you know what I mean? Like their reputation precedes them in a way that you like, dog, who are these dudes? And then very shortly after that,
you find out
exactly who these dudes are. It ain't no joke. And it's like, all right, give me these two Bama's in a Double Dragon game, please.
Woo.
Let me get some action with the two of them. The story has incredible undertones of like deep-rooted racism in the South. It has undertones of forbidden love. It has undertones of broken hearts. It has undertones of like there are these underlying stories that exist literally with basically every character. Every one of the characters has this story that they give you that is a through line that literally, even in the very end of the film, by the way, this movie has two after credits.
Yes.
Honestly,
that's crazy.
The second joint is throwaway. For real, it's kind of throwaway. But the mid-credit scene is the important one. And it really does kind of say, all right, they could do something with this later on if they want to. I would, this movie for me personally is a solid 8 out of 10. I'm thinking about going to see it again, and it could grow on me. And you know, a good measure for me, normally when I come out of a film, especially if I go with other people, it's talking about the film afterwards and what happened and da-da-da. I left this theater and my daughter and her friend, we didn't talk about the movie at all. We just left. We left the theater, we came home, and we went out about our business, right? But then today, when I picked my daughter up from school, she was like, her friend was talking about it all day and was like, she's trying to go see it again. You know what I mean? Which I didn't necessarily get that impression because, again, we didn't talk about it when we came out. In a weird way, what happens in this movie is so encompassing and so that, like, you don't really need to talk about it when it's done. You can.
Oh, for sure.
Most of the time when you talk about what's going on, you're kind of trying to fill in the blanks, or you're trying to figure something out, or you're talking about like, why would they do that? Or they should have did this, or you know what I mean? It just, when it's over, you're like, okay. You know what I mean? And then you realize like, yeah, they really could do some more with it. I think from a pure cinematic standpoint, it's a beautiful film that is incredibly well acted with a really well told story that, again, every person who becomes an important character in some way, there's a backstory. There's a story that's there. And you're just like, oh, all right, I get it. I see why this person is who they are. I see why this person they did. I see, and like when it gets popping,
ooh, it get popping.
I'm talking about popcorn jumping out the pan. It's real. I'm at an 8 out of 10. Zana says the way y'all didn't say a single thing about it when y'all got home, I thought it wasn't good. LOL. It's a fact. It just was like it's complete. Like we didn't need. She asked me. Zana asked me how it was, and I was like, it was cool. Because it just was like, I don't know. There was a weird version of like satisfaction that I don't think I may not have ever really had coming out of.
I think it's because of how it all ends.
Yeah, because it's just
especially in that mid credit after credit scene to really put the bow on it. That joint that right part. There, yeah. And just when they sit there talking, you're like, he just said what? Like,
yeah,
that's interesting. Okay, yeah.
It also kind of puts. There's an underlying layer of perspective that exists with it because the ending conversation really is one that honestly feels like it's a larger discussion about almost like be careful what you wish for, right? Because all of the things that are great about the things you wish for, they always come with a caveat. You are always losing something to gain something else, and that's in there underlying. I'm not going to say what that is because I don't want to spoil it. But again, I'm at an 8 out of 10. Sam, what's your score?
I'm at a 9 out of 10.
Perfect. Perfect. I recommend it.
Absolutely.
More importantly, I recommend going to see it in the theater.
Yes.
I also recommend spending the money to see it in IMAX.
I completely agree.
I don't say things like that lightly. I'm not one of those people who's like, it's a black movie, go support it. Nah, like I don't. Yeah, that's not how I get down.
No, Ryan, when he's talking about the IMAX stuff, no, go see it in IMAX. It is definitely worth the experience, 100%.
Yeah, I literally just sat here to look to see if I could book tickets for the IMAX in Chantilly, and when I tell you that joint is literally sold out, the only seat that is it's not even a seat. It's just like the handicap spots. That's all that's left in the theater for.
You better not take them joints.
I'm not. Nope. I will not do that because I am. Listen, I may be going to hell. I'm not going to hell for something like that.
Do what you gotta do, Playboy.
I saw Tardy Ty say IMAX is an absolute must.
He also said
never loved to embrace a movie so much. It was like watching a live mixtape. There was something for everyone. There's a look. You're gonna hear people talk about it. You're probably not gonna be able to avoid it. There is a scene where basically they're playing music.
It is incredible.
Part of what the story they're telling you is how everything that we do is not only rooted in our past, but then roots itself in our future, in how our music evolves into how it grows into all these different things from like one place and like where that came from. And it's like this.
Like visually and sonically, that was so dope. Like, listen to what I'm jamming, but I'm trying to watch everything going on. I'm trying to catch everything going on the screen or whatever. Like, this is great.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
it's got a little bit of Idle Wild vibe. Like it's the timepiece joint.
It was giving it up though.
Yeah, joint was clean. Highly recommend. Now, on that note, today Bethesda did a live stream that they announced yesterday. They did a remaster for the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, and then they dropped it in the Game Pass. Jokes, you've never been an Elder Scrolls guy. You said that at the top of the show. Oblivion is the only thing I care about in the Elder Scrolls universe.
Oh,
that's it. I don't Skyrim. I tried Skyrim. It doesn't feel. It's not. It don't. I know that Skyrim is like the joint for a lot of people. Like what it did, the way it blew up, whatever. Oblivion is that for me.
Got it.
Early Xbox 360. One of the first HD games I ever owned, and I did everything. I ran every guild. I had every skill. Like I did everything. I'm not gonna do that again. I'm just gonna tell you. I but it's a good nostalgia trip. It is a solid, almost 125 gigs.
Mm-hmm.
You will have to make space, and if you're not gonna make use of it, it might not be worth the trip. But I will tell you that, and they've done some stuff to kind of upgrade it and take some of the elements from like Skyrim to kind of give it a little bit of upgrade in terms of some of the ways you level and stuff like that. Visually, it looks like an Xbox 360 game running in Unreal Engine 5. Like it's like they didn't. Again, it's not a remake; it's a remaster.
Got it.
Right? It is old enough that it deserves a remaster, but it also feels like they may have waited a little too long.
Gotcha.
Like just a little bit too long to do it, just because of the way games in that same genre have evolved since then. Sam, did you play Oblivion?
Yes. We got it at the same time.
Yeah, but like, I feel like you did all the same stuff. I did
a bunch of stuff. I know I didn't like come close to being it, but I did like a bunch of that same stuff, like run around and being the head of guilds and everything. Yeah.
Oh, I had to complete the Mages Guild joint, complete the Thieves Guild joint, complete the Fighters Guild joint. Like I did it all, all in, and I did that. It was almost like the way I'm playing Assassin's Creed. Like when it was time to go and complete the game, I was unstoppable.
Yeah.
Unstoppable.
How it's supposed to be.
Yeah. That is literally the way I like my RPGs. Like I like my RPGs like Final Fantasy VII.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody getting hit for 999.
Easily.
Like, I'm going back to the very first area, and I'm not even touching the controller.
I was here for bragging rights. Yeah.
Auto up material.
Let me put the controller down. I'm gonna make a sandwich while you know.
I ain't gonna take that. Matter of fact, you can do that while Knights of the Round plays loads up before Knights of the Round hits.
And I'm a dual caster too.
What? Yeah. With the copy. Yeah. Dog, come on. Oddly enough, like I couldn't help myself. I had to download this joint and mess around with it and play it. I'm probably gonna get rid of that joint tomorrow. But I don't have time, to be honest, right? But curveball. Here's what I want to know. What is a game you really want a remaster or remake for?
Need for Speed Underground 2. Or just honestly Need for Speed Underground at this point.
Is that just because you can't play it? Like, do you just want it to be playable, or
no,
do you actually
I can play it? Hey, listen, I actually found my copy 2 days ago.
I know, right?
I apologize. I apologize.
Real aggressive, so I know you mean this.
I apologize. But no, I felt like that was probably, honestly, is one of the best Need for Speed games that has ever been created. But for what
is that because you already got Tony Hawk 1 and 2, and 3 and 4 are already coming?
Maybe, I don't know.
Okay,
maybe so.
So Need for Speed Underground 2.
Yes, I felt like they did. That was that was the best. But for whatever reason, they have gone like created new ones, and they decided, you know what? Let's do a reverse and let's go back in the order that we released those and make like remasters or remakes that honestly didn't need to be there. Okay, Zaina,
Zaina said Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Thanks.
Listen, let me tell you how I got super excited when they added them Jones in the store, and they're sitting there. They are sitting there, but they will not turn Jones on to like buy. It is so annoying.
I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm still in my head. I have already decided that this year Summer Games Fest, they're gonna announce that them joints are available. Like I just feel like somewhere in the background,
somebody needs to hit a switch.
Talking to somebody at Disney, and it's like, listen, we gotta get these rights back. We own Activision now. Let's make it happen. Because, bro, the moment they do, everything else going on the back burner. You hear me? Everything else is going on the back burner. And for real, I'd be okay if they don't remaster them joints.
Just make it available.
Just give me them games, and I'd be happy. Give me them games. Let me have them. Sim, what's a what's something that's sitting like back, maybe has some nostalgia for you that you're like, this joint really needs / deserves a remaster or a remake?
There's nothing on my mind I can think of. I mean, we already got a Mass Effect one, so that's not it. And I got Kiwami 1 and 2 for Yakuza. So like, I don't. Maybe the third one, but I need to go back and look at the third one to see if the third one needs it yet. But that was PS3, so maybe I would throw that in. I would throw a third Kiwami out there for part 3. I would do that. You get a remaster for that one. Yeah.
Okay, that's the one.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's happening. Max Payne's getting, you know what I mean, getting a remake. There's a lot that's sitting there. I don't know if there's, because you said Midnight Club. I mean, because you said Need for Speed jokes, I would love a Midnight Club dub edition.
Cars real big.
Yeah.
Everything big.
Real big.
them shortcuts and just like slicing the. I do miss those days of gaming when like video games could still be stupid, like for real. Like games could just be like, what is the point of this game? Upgrade your car, drive through the shortcuts. What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? What is the point of this game? Like that entire era, that PS2 OG Xbox run where it was just like EA Sports big and like
Ooh, NBA Street.
I mean, but like I don't feel like you can remake that. Like, I don't feel like you can really even remaster that because it's the old players. You just want another NBA Street. That's different from a remake or a remaster.
I don't know if I want a new one because I don't know if they would be able to embody what they did.
I'm gonna tell you what the real answer is. It's Def Jam Fight for New York.
We need a whole new one of those, but we'll never get it.
No.
We gonna will it to existence.
No. We have to beat up Elephant Man.
And Sean Paul. Yeah.
Joey Crack.
Hey, listen, you can lose to Joey Crack. So. I like that game, bro. God. If they were to announce that joint, I'd lose it. Like straight up. I would lose it. I wish somebody, you know how like, Perp said a Kingdom Hearts 1 remake?
Maybe.
You know what? I love that. I love that for you, Perp.
That's probably the only one that I care about. I
get that.
Because when 3
I cared about it when it came out too, just because Final Fantasy was so important to me.
Yeah. But when 3 came out, when I tell you when 3 came out and I started playing it and I had to stop and was like, what in the hell is going on? I feel like I need to stop and play or revisit the other ones. And at that moment, I was like, you know what? I am not playing this.
You know what? There are definitely like, again, especially things from that era, because really, especially looking back, man, PlayStation graphics were so ugly. Like PS1 graphics are trash, bro. And PS2 definitely was a step up, but like Final Fantasy 8 with Squall and the Gunblade, like if they were to take that, I don't want to remake the way. I'll be honest, I'm actually not a fan of the Final Fantasy 7 remake Rebirth. Like I'm not a fan of that joint. I want the original game remade to look like the way it is. I don't really want a new, run. Perp said KH is peak. That is, yes, you can have it. It is
agreed.
You because I think those games are not great action RPGs. I think they are I think they are great crossover. I think it's a great crossover game. I think just the idea of mashing like what Final Fantasy is with Disney characters is the kind of thing that you're just like, clearly that's incredible. Kidlet's happy to see you, Jokes.
What's up?
Jokes. What's up, Kidlet? Yeah, I don't know about. Look, if they were to announce a remake or a remaster of Kingdom Hearts, the internet's going ape. There's no
yeah. Like
You know what I mean? Like straight up. But like,
And honestly, with 4 coming
Sam,
out, I don't think we'll see that anytime soon.
tell me you don't want a remake of like Guardian Heroes, dog. Like just a real joint. Like
See,
real
he over
joint.
there spitting facts now.
By the way, you know they just did an update and added 2 more new characters to the Double Dragon joint we've been playing.
Who they at?
2 people you wouldn't know. A Pama named Jeff and a Pama named Adore. It doesn't matter. We can get in there and slaughter
and whoop some dudes.
Understand? It doesn't matter. All right, look. Kid, we miss and love you too. Show's running long. We got 2 more things. Oh, Perp, don't do that. It's not really blasphemy, man. Look, I tell you what, Perp. You just have to come on the show. We have to have like just a dedicated discussion about all the things. Cause I don't, you know, you're in a different era. And Kingdom Hearts unfortunately doesn't mean to me what it means to you, but I love that it means what it does to you. But if I had to choose between a Kingdom Hearts remake and either a Guardians Heroes remake or a Def Jam Fight for New York remake, Kingdom Hearts ain't even coming close.
Not at all.
It's not even coming close. Jokes. Got a couple trailers we need to look at real quick. So they dropped the new Fantastic Four, the first actual full trailer for Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
What we've had before have been teasers. We need to take a look at this. There is some discussion to be had about things. So while you're getting that up and ready to go, let me just say that we are planning a complete overhaul / revisit. A few years ago, we did a top 10 MCU list. Actually, we did 2 of them. And we are far enough removed from that it's time to revisit what the top MCU films are. But we are not doing the top MCU films. We are doing the top MCU content. So we are including the shows, the movies, the one-shots, not the comics. We're not gonna do that.
Oh, that'd be way.
But
oh god,
everything. So we are actually planning and starting to work our way up to that. Already been rewatching a bunch of stuff because my daughters are rewatching a bunch of stuff, and so I've been kind of doing it through osmosis. But it's kind of time to go and check some stuff out because we have to do it. Like we got to do it. And literally, Perp, hear me when I say, and listen, Perp, we're looking to have extra people on this. We want to have some people on this, so we need to talk about maybe you joining us for this. The plan is to do it in like November. Saying says, let me in, let me join, I'll be ready. I hear you. Yeah, the plan is to do it in like November. And here's the thing. We're going to try somehow to fight about and put in order everything. Every night. All the way up through Fantastic Four. Oof. All of it. It's a big ask. Get yourselves together. Let's watch this trailer.
Cool.
Wow, folks, we all know the story. 4 brave astronauts head up into space and come back forever changed.
I'm very choppy. Are y'all seeing this okay?
Yep. Nope. It's doing.
Maybe let's.
Yeah.
You want to try to do it and see how it does? See if it does a little better.
Go ahead and because it's not.
A joke signal right now. It looks like I'm looking at him through soup at the moment.
Oh yeah, stop that now. Now it'll probably look better.
You do. You do. Oof. Let's try that again.
All right.
Wow, folks, we all know the story. 4 brave astronauts head up into space and come back forever changed.
This car?
Our city,
I don't like his teeth.
owe a debt to these intrepid souls. And while we can never repay them, we can certainly celebrate them.
Thank you, Fantastic Four. Thank you.
Thank you, Fantastic Four.
Please welcome the Fantastic Four.
Herbie, how's that sauce looking?
They really like straight up super sauce.
Okay. That's fantastic.
You're late.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean? You're late for dinner.
Yes, we are.
You late?
I just said that.
Are you pregnant?
What? You're gonna be the best mom in the world. And you are gonna be the best dad. Just kidding. You are out of your depth. We are gonna be the best uncles ever.
We can do this. Nothing's going to change.
Are you the protectors of this world?
Yes, we are.
Your planet is now marked for death.
It's my fault.
Get off my board.
I stretched the bounds of
Right.
space. And they hurt.
Are we safe?
I don't know. There's not enough time.
I'm not giving up. We will face this together. We will fight it together. As a family. Has to be us.
There is no one else.
We will protect you.
A lot of the people. Okay.
Sin,
Yeah.
I default to you. Oh. As one of our resident Fantastic Four haters,
Mm-hmm.
after seeing that trailer, where are you?
It looks better than I thought it would.
Mm.
So kudos, Foggy, for that. I have better. I feel better about it. I think having it set in that time place helps because we consider them so old and corny. So having them back in that time just kind of helps with that. So, but fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Nope.
I'm actually a little excited. Like I'm actually a little excited. I think from what they've shown, I'm intrigued. I do think they're gonna fail in trying to save their planet, but um I actually like what they've done with this trailer and presented to us so far. So um I'm just interested to see if we can go the mile with it. But right now I'm actually a little excited.
All right, so right now, real talk, I think this movie looks like it's gonna be better than Thunderbolts. Like 100% better than Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts right now is starting to feel like almost kind of like a comedy cash in, maybe could have been a Disney Plus show kind of thing, as they're like gearing towards some of the, I don't know, like some of the promos and stuff they're doing for it. I want to see Thunderbolts, but especially based in this trailer and like knowing what the history, look, confirming for a fact that Sue Storm is pregnant. Knowing that means that, again, they can do whatever they want in the MCU, but more than likely it's Franklin Richards. The history of Franklin Richards in the comics with Galactus is ridiculous. The amount of power that Franklin Richards has is ridiculous. If by any means they skip Franklin and say they go straight to Valeria or something like that, like she doesn't have powers, but she's one of the smartest people literally on the planet. Future Foundation already exists in this movie. Like you can see it on their jackets in this, right? But Franklin Richards, for all intents and purposes, is a god. There are comics in which he more or less becomes like best friends with Galactus. It's kind of ridiculous. But also it is the events of the Fantastic Four. It is on Franklin Richards and what they do with Galactus that leads to Doom and leads literally directly into where we're going with Secret Wars. So it makes sense. I think you're right, Jokes. I think they lose this fight. I think they lose this fight. I think they are now looking for other worlds, or we end up with the Reed, who does what he does in the comics and creates a way to travel to other worlds, finds other Reed Richards, and finds the Council of Richards, of Reeds, Council of Reeds, like the Council of Kangs. And when he found that, basically every other version of Reed Richards is evil. Does not care about like Reed Richards as a complex character. I've never liked him as a superhero, but the reality of it is like he's a bad father. Like he is super smart and knows how to do a lot of things. He's not a good father. He's not a good husband. He's so wrapped up in the things that that he's doing that a lot of what Robert Downey Jr.'s version of Iron Man was to Pepper and like trying to protect the planet and being so involved in that he ends up being a bad boyfriend / whatever. All of that really is Reed Richards' story, to be honest, in a lot of ways, right? So there's a lot of potential here, and it also looks like they might really let Sue Storm be the powerful Sue Storm that she's supposed to be. Be really dope. Perp says, I like the theory that's floating around that the universe they're in is controlled by Doom, and it's kind of like a Groundhog Day effect. That could be dope. Look, the idea that he goes to a world again and finds this Doom that happens to be like what Robert Downey Jr. ended up being. There are ways to make this make sense. Franklin Richards is a mutant. Now, his parents are not, but he is a mutant. And so he could be the first mutant born in their universe. He could be the connecting tissue between mutants and X-Men and whatever in a lot of ways with, what we're seeing. So like where this film is placed and what they're doing and the time frame being in another universe and all that kind of stuff has me way more excited about what it potentially means for the MCU moving forward than even technically what Thunderbolts has. But a lot of that is just because I don't really like Sentry. But Sentry is also a powerhouse. He is basically unbeatable, and they got to find a way to beat him. So I'm super interested in that. There is one more trailer I want to watch so we can get out of here. Cinnamon, I have you grab that. Throw that in. It's been a while since we've jumped on Diablo. There is a new Diablo trailer.
Yeah, we talked about that this week, but the trailer wasn't out yet.
We have to like, because what are they doing, dog? You know what I'm saying?
Trying to get more money.
100%. Well, they gonna get it. It ain't no trying. They gonna get it. Yeah. We're kind of winding down. Listen, I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us, being here this evening. Let's take a look at this trailer real quick. And
wait, what?
Yeah.
Black Armor.
Go. Let's go. Whew.
Big
Bro,
games, May
you
6th.
talking
That
about
is insane.
the perfect crossover I didn't know I needed.
100%. 100%. That fits so well.
Bruh, it makes so much sense. Like, I
Yeah.
just don't. Come on, man.
May 6th.
What are they
Back
trying
on
to
it.
do?
Pull me
What they
back in.
trying to do?
Trying to pull us back in.
I don't have that kind of space on
I
my
was about to
hard drive
say, do I
anymore,
even
dog.
have that
Like, you understand what I'm
installed right
saying? Like,
I
now?
need to check. I need to
Hold
check.
up.
For now, I need to make the space.
they gotta do something for me, man. They gotta do something with this. Like, man, I remove stuff and put stuff back and remove stuff and put, like, they gotta do something for me, bro. I can't. It's getting out of control.
Oof. That joint is
I think that's
not
dope.
installed.
I think that's a dope crossover. That will definitely get me back on Diablo, and I also think we'll pull in a lot of people who weren't even thinking about Diablo. For
Oh,
real.
yeah. With a title like Berserk using? Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, look, super long show. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We had a lot to cover, right? Pop
Here's what it
culture
is, yeah.
sleeps for no one,
Mhm.
and so you can't sleep while there's pop culture news to be talked about. I want to remind you guys that again, all of our podcasts and shows are available on Spotify. We are making some adjustments to some of the things we do, so you'll maybe see some invites to some new Instagrams popping up soon, in the next couple of weeks, more than likely, as we ramp a few things up around some of the other podcasts and stuff that we do. We are working on some stuff for Big Lick Comic Con Nova, which is coming up at the end of May. That is May 1st and
May 30th.
June, I'm sorry, May 30th, June 1st, May 31st, June 1st. So at the end of the month in Dulles. So we're gearing up to head out to that space. In the meantime, look for Spoiler Boys on the episodes of Andor. Again, they are releasing them in 3-episode chunks. So every release date, they're releasing 3 episodes. So Spoiler Boys will be for those 3 episodes. There are 3 available right now, apparently, that we got to go watch. I want to, one more time before we leave here today, reiterate, go to Netflix, watch Devil May Cry. That's all I'm going to say on that. Now,
I'm doing that this weekend, actually. So,
our movie club movie of the month is called Forgotten. It is a Korean movie. It is on Netflix. We are going to have that discussion next Monday. On Tuesday, when we come back to do this show, we are going to have a discussion with you all about some of the changing landscape of what's going on with Loading Snacks Movie Club. We're making some changes and some adjustments there, just like we're making some adjustments to the other podcasts and stuff that we do. We'll fill you in on what that is, what it looks like, and what it means next week. So stay tuned for that. Jokes, you are recording something for wrestling this Wednesday?
Yep. So we're going to be doing our WrestleMania recap. So kind of just a little bit more of expanding on what we went over here today, just to give just kind of give our overall thoughts and impressions on how things went down. Probably do a little thinking and talking about what we think the future is going to hold for WWE in this upcoming year, this new season, if you want to put it forward.
Sure. And when should folks expect to be able to see that?
The weekend. They'll get it over the weekend.
Sounds good. Sin, Anime Chat hits Thursday.
Yep, Thursday, 10 a.m. We get into discussion of lollies and how we feel about them, that whole character type. So, yeah, not getting into the crazy side of it, but asking how we feel about that type of stuff. I did notice this week that with the new stuff coming out, there seems to be one show that's dominating our top 3s that I think is going to be a highlight to watch this season. So, with these news coming out, yeah, definitely pay attention to the top 3s and know what you should be watching. But, yeah, some good stuff.
Sounds good. One more time, thank y'all for hanging out with us this evening. I know it's been a long show, and I know it's late at night, but, you know, the only other thing you could really be doing is playing Assassin's Creed or watching Andor or buying your tickets to go see Sinners. Do that. Jokes. Tell the people what I need them to know.
Remember, y'all, just because you have a well thought out plan doesn't make it a good idea.
With that, we're out. Toodles and doodles.
Loading snacks.